Again, dear student, today we are going to see about the standardization. Basically, standardization word comes from the product and standardization. So if you just look at your simple product which are available in the market, you will find that there is a series of standard products which are available. Basically, if you just take example of our commercial products, then in that commercial product, if you go and purchase your shirt, you'll find that there is a standardization maintained. There is a 40 inches, 42 inches, 44 inches size of your shirt. Or if you just go for your purchase of your shoes, in the shoes also you'll find that there's a size of 6 or there is a 7, 8, 9, etc. So if you just go for any particular nut and bolt also, you'll find that in nut and bolt you'll find there is a bolt of M12, M14, M16, M20, etc. If you just go for any gear, in that gear also you'll find that there is a gear of 3 module, there is a gear of 4 module, etc. So that means manufacturers are going to manufacture their product at particular size only. There is no any random or any tailor-made size available in that particular market. So why it happens? The very simple thing is, so in our machine component, if any machine component need a maintenance, then that particular machine requires some nut and bolt, or that machine requires some bearing, or that machine requires some maintenance with the gear, then that particular gear should be readily available in the market. There should not be any special manufacturing done by that particular original industry, or that particular replacement of the part is very easy. So that is one thing. So standardization means it is the way in which we are going to maintain a particular product range or variety so that it can be again and again reused. Okay. So or procedure for design, analysis, testing, manufacturing of a system component or product to achieve uniformity. Uniformity should be there. Quality, interchangeability, and the safety, and to put reasonable limit on the variety. Okay. So that is the main thing behind standardization. If there is no standardization, then it becomes very special things or special product. Okay. So what is the purpose behind that? To establish mandatory norms for the product development. Types. In your exam, you may find that there is a question. What are the different types of particular standardization? So there is a company standard or local standard. There is a national standard and there are international standards. If we just go for a local standard. So if I take one simple example, in our villages, you'll find that there is a special purpose. There is a special person who is going to define, who is going to design your shoes. So we generally call it as a mochi. So that particular mochi is going to take your finger dimensions and he is going to design a special product for you. So that is the local standard. So if you cannot again and again remake that particular same kind of shoes from him also. Why? Because there is a limitations. So that is the local standard, or we can say that company standard. Standard means what? If there is a particular industry which is going to manufacture some kind of medicine or some kind of a product which is specifically used for that particular local area, then that is the company standard. So it has a limited customer. It has a limited customer. It cannot go beyond that. Because why? Because it is specially made for that particular area or that particular industry only. So that is the main thing. Okay. So next is a national standard. As we know, if you go and purchase any electric product in our India, you'll find that there is a ISI mark. So there is a Indian Standard Instrument marks. Okay. Or there is a Indian Standard IS mark. Or there is a Bureau of Indian Standard Norms, which is going to standardize this product. So when we say that particular electric heater is very safety, or if that particular fan is very good in quality, why we can say? Because there is a ISI mark on that. So that means it gives a particular brand to that particular product. If I say that product is very good in quality, it is very safe, that means there should be some labeling, some other authority is going to check that particular all norms. So that is the national standard. In that national standard, that nation and the product is going to standardize. But if I want internationally, that means very simple thing I will tell you. In international standard, if you purchase a mobile, it may be of any company, it may be of your Indian company, it may be of Samsung, it may be Apple, it may be your Chinese model, it may be Vivo or anything. In that, whatever headphone plugs are provided, that socket, in that socket, any headphone, Indian manufacturer headphone also good fitted. So why it happens? Only because it follows international standard norms. So if you can take anybody's charger and you can charge your mobile very easily. That charger pin can fit to any mobile. Why it happens? Only because of it is a standard instrument. It is an international standard instrument. So who is going to control all these things? So if you just look at the different types of international standard, there is a ISO, in International Standard Organization, or there may be ASTM, American Standard Testing Measures, or there may be International Bureau of Weights and Measure. Likewise, there are a number of standards which are available internationally. So by this way, all these standard advantages, interchangeability. So whenever we need to replace any of the part, you can go in any shop, you purchase that and replace that. You need not go to the original company. Quality and reliability. If you follow the standardization, you will find that the quality of the product is very good. It is a reliable. It can go for a particular certain period of time, which is specified then by the manufacturer. If there is a standardization, you can go for mass production. Why? Because every time you have to manufacture same thing. The particular machine can set for the particular dimension, so that again and again similar kind of mass production can be done. Obviously, it is going to reduce manufacturing time and effort and product price also. Those are fifth and sixth advantage of standardization. And obviously, when such product is designed, it is very good and it is safe also. So these are the advantages of standardization. So standardization can be asked for 4 marks. What is standardization? What are the advantages of standardization? What are the different types of standardization? Okay. Now let us go further. Now, as per the Indian standard, materials are also get standardized, and how that particular material can be designated as per IS code, that we are going to see here. So that is also one kind of standard extension of standardization. So let us start with some mechanical properties. Mechanical properties includes strength, stiffness, hardness, etc. In that, the tensile strength is very common, yield strength and ultimate strength that we know. So the designation of steel as per mechanical properties, if you just visualize that particular slide, you will find that there is a IS 1570 part 1 1978. So that is the particular uh, IS code which is again started from 1978. It is modified up to 1993. So it is one kind of designation which is given on that particular material. So if you just go in the market and if you say that I want a particular steel, so he will ask what is the IS code for that. So how it is designated, you can see that particular IS steel can be designated by simple way. It is based on minimal tensile strength or yield strength. So if it is based on minimum tensile strength, the symbol is Fe and followed by minimum tensile strength. If it is based on yield strength, then it is having symbol FEE, in that Fe and capital E if I know the yield strength. So for example, if I say Fe280, this is the type of steel. So Fe280 is the steel which is having minimum tensile strength of 280 megapascals. So that is the designation. If I want based on yield strength, then Fe320 is the steel with yield strength of 320 megapascal. So this is the first kind of designation which is given for the steel. So you can go now in the market, and if I want a steel having 350 tensile strength, so you can say I want Fe350 steel. So the manufacturer can understand your coding. Why? Because it is a IS code given for that particular material. Now if it is a cast iron, then how that particular IS code is having different number. So it is having IS 210 1993, or it may be IS 1865 which is in 1991. So when I say cast iron are having different types. So here we are having very basic cast iron. So gray cast iron and nodular cast iron. The symbol for that particular gray cast iron is Fg, whereas symbol for nodular cast iron is Sg. So one more thing, if I have a white cast iron, then it is having Wg. So G is common. If in our steel, Fe is common. So here G is common. Fg, Sg, Wg. If it is a malleable, Mg, and followed by tensile strength. So if you just look at this gray cast iron, for example, EFG 150 is having steel with minimum tensile strength of 150 megapascal. Okay, if you just go for nodular cast iron, example is like that, SG300. So what is meant by SG300? So it is a nodular cast iron having 300 megapascal minimum tensile strength. So now you can go in the market and you can ask for any cast iron, gray cast iron. I want FG200. So what is meaning of that? FG200 means that particular manufacturer or particular trader can understand that you want a gray cast iron with 200 megapascal. So this is the designation of gray cast iron. So these are the particular IS code which are based on mechanical properties. Now, in addition to mechanical properties, we know that steel is having number of alloying elements. So only Fe or ferrous is not important. In that ferrous, if I add carbon, if I add phosphorus, sulfur, molybdenum, chromium, vanadium, tungsten, then properties are going to vary. So if the properties are going to vary with the chemical composition, then IS code is also based on that. So designation is also possible with alloying element. Okay. So based on that chemical composition, there are different kinds of IS codes. So designation of carbon steel as per chemical composition is covered under, you can look at that particular slide, it is IS 1570. It is formed in 1979. So how that particular steel is going to designate if it is a carbon steel? So if you just look at that particular 1 to ABC, the first figure in that particular steel is a percentage of carbon content in that. 100 times average percentage means if it is given 50 C8, that means 50 means 50 divided by 100, 0.5. If it is a 40 C8, 40 means 40. So later followed by C, and third C is figure indicating 10 times average percentage of manganese. So here a simple carbon steel may have a carbon in particular quantity and manganese in particular quantity. So let us go for example. For example, if you are having 40C8, so 40C8, that means 40 divided by 100. Why? Because 100, because it is 100 times average percentage. So 40 divided by 100, it comes 0.4% carbon. So it is average. So it can be a 0.3 to 0.5 percentage of carbon is there in that particular steel. Followed by letter C, and 8. 8 indicate 8 divided by 10 means 0.8% manganese. So if I take another example, 20C4. 20C4 means 20 divided by 100, 0.2% carbon. Followed by C means it is a carbon steel, and 4 divided by 10 means 0.4% manganese. So such type of designation can be asked for 1 marks. Okay, so designate the steel number 1, 40C8, 1 mark. So you must write there it contains some 0.4% carbon and 0.8% manganese by this way. So this is carbon steel. Now next to that, there is one more kind of steel, that is free cutting steel. Free cutting steel means it can be cut very easily. So for free cutting steel, you will find that it comes under IS 1570. Nobody is going to ask you in exam what is IS code of free cutting steel. It is not there because it is standard and it is available everywhere. So nobody is going to ask you IS code. But we must know that under free cutting steel is having IS code of 1570 1979. So in that also the first figure indicates 100 times percentage of carbon, just like our carbon steel, followed by C later, and after that figure indicates 10% average percentage of manganese, and after that there is a sulfur or phosphorus, or sorry, sulfur or lead. Pb means lead. If I add lead or sulfur, it becomes free cutting. So symbol S or P followed by figure indicate 100 times. So you can just look at this. So it will be clear if I go for a particular example. Now in the example there is a 40C, 40S, 14. So 14 means what? First 14 indicates 14 divided by 100. So that is 0.14% carbon. In that free cutting steel, first 14 indicates 40 divided by 100, 0.14% carbon. Followed by letter C for the carbon steel. After that there is one more 14. So that 14 indicates 14 divided by 10 means 1.4% average manganese. Next to that there is one more, there is a S for sulfur. There may be chances that free cutting steel may have Pb, lead. Lead is also help to cut that particular steel, and that gives free cutting steel property. So in that here there is a S. S means sulfur. Sulfur means 14. Again 14 divided by 100. So if in our exam, if such type of example is asked for 1 mark. For example, let us take 20 C 5 S 10. So 20 means 20 divided by 100. So 5 means 5 divided by 10 percentage of manganese, and again if I say 10 divided by 100, that means 0.1% sulfur. So such type of designation you must write there. What are the percentage of carbons, manganese and sulfur in that free cutting steel. So this is free cutting steel. So how this free cutting steel is designated is like this. Next to that, if you go for alloy steel means it contains large quantity of alloy. Okay, so the quantity large in numbers, not in quantity. Quantity is very few, but the number of alloy element may be one, not one or two. It may be more than two. So if I go for a low or medium alloy steel, as per chemical composition, it has IS code of 1762, and it is formed in 1974. So how it is designated? Its designation is very simple. First figure indicates average percentage of carbon in 100 times multiplication. So we have to divide by 100. Next to that, there is a chemical symbol followed by element. But every time that multiplication factor is different. If you just look at that element versus factor in the table below, so you'll find that in the first row there is a it starts with chromium, cobalt, nickel, and it ends with W, means tungsten. It has got multiplying factor as a 4. That means whatever symbol is there, and followed by that particular average percentage, we have, if it is a chromium or in the first row element, we have to divide by 4. If it is a second row element, that means aluminum, barium, vanadium up to molybdenum, the multiplying factor is 10. And if it is a PSN, means phosphorus, sulfur, or nitrogen, the multiplication factor is 100. So we have to remember this when it is asked in our exam. So this particular table you have to remember, otherwise it is very difficult. So it's very simple thing. Whatever element which are going to increase the strength, increase the corrosion resistance, increase the heat resisting properties, that are in the first row: chromium, cobalt, nickel, manganese, silicon, tungsten. So these are very important elements, and there may be chances that this type of elements are very common also. So you remember first row. Third row is PSN, and other are having 10 multiplication factor. So this is the particular. So there is no need to remember middle row, because middle row is having large more yeah, different types of alloying elements. So you just remember first and the last row. And first row is very important, because they are very important alloying element. So if you just look at that particular example, in the example 40Cr 4MO2. So obviously first figure 40 indicates percentage of carbon. 40 divided by 100, 0.4% carbon. Next symbol is Cr, chromium. Chromium, obviously it is in the first row. So multiplication factor is 4. So chromium 4 means 4 divided by 4 means 1% chromium. After that, molybdenum. Molybdenum, so next of that is second row. Second row is 10. So molybdenum 2 divided by 10, 0.2% molybdenum. Likewise, if you just write all these three different compositions which are available in low or medium alloy, you will get 1 mark. So it can be asked for 1 mark. It may be anything. So if I take one more example, it can be 30 Ni 8 Pb 3 P2. So likewise anything. So you have to remember 410 100. So 410 100 is important thing here, and factor is important that you have to put there. So this is about the low and medium alloy steel. If you just go for the high alloy steel is very different than the medium alloy. Low and medium alloy steels are readily available and they are very common, but high alloy steel is having very huge quantity of alloy elements. So that's why it is having some special thing. So it comes under IS 17662 and it is given in 1974. So it has first as a letter X. So whenever there is X letter in that particular composition, you say that it is a high alloy steel. So it is very simple as compared to other. So X means high alloy. It is followed by a figure which indicates 100 times percentage of carbon. After that, there is a chemical symbol, and after that, it followed by the particular average percentage. So it's very simple as compared to other. So if you just look at the particular example, you'll find that there is X10 chromium 18 nickel 9. So X10 means X means it's a high alloy steel. So 10 divided by 100, so 0.1% carbon, followed by Cr, chromium. Chromium is one of the important element which increase strength and which increase your corrosion resistance, because chromium and nickel improves corrosion resistance. So chromium 18. Chromium 18 means directly you say 18% chromium. After that nickel 9. That means directly you said there is a nickel 9%. So it is very very simple as compared to our low and medium. So in the low and medium we have to remember all these rows and multiplying factor. Here X. So if they in your exam if they ask a composition with starting with X and something, just blindly you can say it is a high alloy steel. So you can write one line. It is a high alloy steel and the percentage are like this. So this is high alloy steel. After the high alloy steel, there is a tool steel. When we say tool steel means it is used for cutting some another material. When I say some tool is cutting another material, that means hardness property is important. The tool should remove the material. So there are two important things. First is hardness of tool. Second is heat resisting. Because whenever we put our tool in contact with the particular material, the material is get removed, and material is get removed because of the cutting action, and cutting action increase the temperature. So tool steel should have two main important properties. It should be very good in hardness, as well as it should have good heat resisting. Okay, so if you just remember that IS code is 1762, which is formed in 1974. It has something different than our high alloy. It has symbol XT. That means in simple way, if there is a X, it is alloy steel. If it is XT, then it is a tool steel. So everything is similar to our high alloy steel. If you just remember, if you just look at that example, XT 75, tungsten 18, chromium 4, vanadium 1. So XT means it is a tool steel. 75 indicates percentage of carbon. So 75 divided by 100 is 0.75% carbon, followed by tungsten. So followed by number 18. So 18% tungsten, followed by chromium, and number 4, 4% chromium, followed by vanadium, followed by 1% vanadium. So it is an example which you know, because in our workshop for the turning we generally use high speed steel. So this is the composition of high speed steel. So this completes a designation of different material as per the chemical composition. So this is best example of IS. If you just go in the market, and if you just say I want XT75 W18, if it is available, then directly that particular material can be given to you with by example of chemical composition. So these are the standard designations which are available. I can give you a particular table. So that table, in the table you'll find that lot much different properties and different composition which are available for this different kinds of materials. I will provide that particular table, and the tables are very very useful to you. Now, in this particular in the IS coding or standardization, one more important thing is, so in our day-to-day life, you will find that there are a number of product. So how to variety the product, how to change that particular variation. A best example, if you go in the market, and if I say I want a shoe, so there is a shoe which is having number 8, and after that there is a shoe which is having number 9 and 10. There is no shoes available which can be known as 8.5. So it is an odd size, or it is an odd variation. You cannot say, you cannot you can go in the market and you cannot say that I want uh, uh, 48 number shirt. So it is not available. Why not available? Because it is not in that particular preferred number. So preferred numbers are the series which are given in IS 1076, which is formed in 1985, which develop variation in size. What should be the standard variation that you can take in your product? So if I want to develop a product, for example, if you are a manufacturer of plastic buckets, so you can develop a bucket which is having 5 liters, 6 liter, 7 liter, 8 liter, like such type of variation. So which are available in preferred numbers. So preferred numbers are the series which are in geometric progression, which gives a standardization in the product variation. So every product which is available in the market are going to follow this preferred number. Nobody is going to follow other than preferred number. If your product variations are under the preferred number, then they are called as a standard product. So if somebody manufacture a plastic bucket which is having 7.9595 liters, so it is very odd number. So it cannot, such type of product should not be in the market, or such type of products are very special product. So nobody is going to purchase that also. So if you just look at that particular bicycles, in that bicycles are generally having inches size. So there is a bicycle of 20 inch, 22 inch, 24 inch, 26 inch. Such type of bicycles are available. So they are as per the preferred numbers. So preferred number can be asked for 2 marks. What is meant by preferred number? So preferred numbers are the particular series of numbers which are going to reduce unnecessary variation in the size, which standardize the product range, and these are the geometric progression. The preferred numbers are having basic sizes like R5, R10, R20, R40, which are having different series of numbers as shown in the table. So this completes our designation of the different kinds of steel as well as standardization. So thank you very much.